Since the government shutdown started, President Obama has been clear with Republicans about where he stands. So see if you can pick up a theme.
Let me repeat. I will not negotiate over Congress's responsibility to pay bills it's already racked up. You don't negotiate by putting a gun to the other person's head. Or worse yet, by putting a gun to the American people's head. There will be no negotiations over this. The American people are not pawns in some political game. We're not going to pay a ransom for America paying its bills. That's something that should be non-negotiable, and everybody should agree on that.
The president has stood firm, staring down Republicans, refusing to give in to their extreme demands. And as we've been reporting, Republicans are finally getting the message, waving the white flag a bit higher day by day. On Thursday, Republicans in the House offered a deal to extend the debt ceiling for 6 weeks. Today, Republicans in the Senate are reportedly considering a 1-year extension. That's a huge shift in just 24 hours. And there are growing signals that the Republicans will cave on the shutdown within days. A lot of chaos and pain could have been avoided if Republicans had listened to the president from the start. Joining me now is E.J. Dionne of the Washington Post. Thank you for coming on the show.
Good to be with you, Rev.
E.J., the headline of your article this week is Obama can't cave even a little in the face of GOP extremism. And you wrote, quote, giving in is exactly what Obama cannot do. I guess you and the president were on the same page, E.J.
Well, I think that the principle here is important, but also the fact that we have gone through this over and over again since the Republicans won the House in 2010. And there's one way to do business. When you have divided government, each side has to sit down and negotiate. And one side gets some of the things it wants, the other side gets some of the things it wants, and you just proceed normally. In this case, the Republicans avoided negotiating with the Democrats in the Senate all during the year. And then we got to this point and they said, OK, if you don't give us these things, including, for goodness sake, the repeal of Obamacare, which he was never going to do, then we're going to cause all these dire consequences. So I think it was very important to establish this principle. And the polls show that the country has shifted in a very big way as a result of not only the president, but really the whole Democratic Party standing strong and saying, no, we're not going to give in to this anymore.
I also hear people that are close to the White House say that the president feels the presidency is at stake. And if he makes certain moves, that it compromises the presidency going forward.
Right. Well, I think there are a couple of things here. One is, back in 2011, he was willing to deal on this. He felt that after the Tea Party victory in the election, there was a real chance that they would go over the cliff and cause us some real problems. Looking back on that, I think he said we can't do this anymore. And it's not just for the next 3 years of his presidency. If we make it routine to use the debt ceiling or an endless series of shutdowns as the normal way of doing business, we're not going to be a serious country anymore. And presidents, we don't want excessive presidential power, but we do want presidents to have the kind of power presidents are supposed to have.
But E.J., Paul Ryan didn't believe that the president wouldn't cave. Last month, Paul Ryan was asked about the president's promise to stand strong over the debt ceiling. His response was, quote, oh, nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. Well, you think Paul Ryan believes it now?
He sure seems to. In that op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal, he didn't even mention Obamacare. I think that the Republicans had gotten accustomed to the idea that the president will start out giving them their asking price. And he decided that wasn't a good way to go forward.
Which might have been their plan A, and they had no plan B when he didn't cave on plan A. And a growing number of Republicans are admitting they won't be able to defund Obamacare. Listen.
He funding Obamacare is not achievable. So let's not delude our supporters by telling them that it is.
Repeal's not going to probably work when the guy in the White House is still named Barack Obama.
They don't want this law to go into effect at all, but that's obviously not going to happen at this point.
That's very interesting that a lot of Republicans are now admitting they can't defund Obamacare, and with the president standing strong, it seems like they had no plan B, I repeat, EJ.
Well, you know, wars get started because people miscalculate the other side. And in this case, they badly miscalculated where the president was. The thing is, a lot of Republicans are really angry. I mean, there is this civil war in their party right now because a lot of them said from the beginning this wouldn't work. And John Boehner, feeling that pressure from that Tea Party minority, decided to save his speakership. He had to go with them. There were an awful lot of Republicans. I talked to one today who were really angry about this strategy because they think that it was failure right from the beginning.
All right, EJ Dionne, thank you for your time tonight. Have a great weekend.